there was an Australian and an Englishman playing together at the top of the order, and they were dynamite. There's David Warner, there's Jonny Bairstow. Now, Warner's talked with a lot of feeling about batting with Jonny Bairstow on this program, but they had a bit of a history. Warner's gone really hard at Jonny Bairstow. Now, the coach is sitting here. The coach is very Aussie, but the coach has had some of his finest cricketing moments in England. You almost understood English cricket as well as you did Australian cricket. Was that something? I mean, this was a potentially explosive mixture, right? Warner and Bairstow opening the batting. And yet it worked it was one of the pairs of IPL history.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, Harsha. I think in any team environment, and you will know this in the commentary box, which, the commentary box is a team as well, where you have a perception of what someone's like. And until you share your own dressing room and field of play with that player, you don't really understand what you thought or what the perception was of that individual. And I think both Jonny and Davey were both very much may have had an opinion, but really didn't unpack the real personality or character of each other. And I think that happens across, all sports, and, they're just one very good example. I think the key to their success as a pair, which we understood would be a dangerous option for us at the top of the order, is that they both play at the same beat. And what I mean by that is their tempo, the way they go about the game, their urgency between the wickets. It's nearly infectious, competitive, explosion at once, where they're trying to outrun each other. They're trying to everything's done at an explosive pace. And that can be incredibly overwhelming for an opponent if you've got it happening at both ends. The polar opposite to that is you've got someone like Chris Gayle, who can hurt you just as much, but he does it at a very slow beat, and he does it at his pace, where you might have a Virat Kohli at the other end that's a bit more like a Warner and a bit more like a Bairstow, that are going at a completely different beat. So if you get them both ticking at the same time, it can be lethal.
Was it that RCB game, 200? When both of them got 100?
Yes, it was, at home.
How often was your bum on the seat, and how often were you just standing up, and how often was your mouth agape?
I've always sort of tried to, in the dugout, remain reasonably conservative and reserved, because I just know how the game can change. And the last thing I want to be is that the coach on the sideline that's nearly like a cheerleader. So I try to remain calm, because I'm very conscious of who's coming in next, or what the team vibe is, if I'm high or if I'm low. But on that day, I think the whole of Hyderabad were on their feet. Forget about the dugout. It was
some of us in the commentary box were.
Yeah, well, it was just one of those moments that you think, well, I just don't think I've seen a partnership as impactful as that partnership, and it's a privilege to be there and watch it live.
They also, you look at that innings and you think of all the big hits. And Warner said on this program, and he used an expression I don't normally use, but I'll quote it verbatim. He said, "We frustrated the crap out of Virat Kohli by running a lot of twos." They ran a lot of twos, and that's another side of T20 cricket too. How quickly do you run between the wickets?
Yeah. Oh, look, it was that was an important strategy for us at home as well, because of the dimensions of the ground in Hyderabad. We knew that if we had players that had the capability, as in the physical capability to run fast, and also the skill to be able to place the ball, 6 twos in an over is a pretty good over. And you're doing that without flexing your muscles. You're doing that with a bit of style and a bit of class. And so if you've got players like Bairstow and Warner doing it, Kane Williamson's another one that does it brilliantly. Manish Pandey is also another brilliant runner. So if you've got those type of players, you're not just relying on hitting the ball over the rope or to the rope. You can kill an opposition just through your intensity between the wickets.
have you ever tried telling this to someone like Andre Russell, that 6 twos is not a bad way to play an over?
I wouldn't waste my breath, Harsh.
Yeah.
when you can play that brand of cricket, then we're having another conversation. I think that's the other thing, is understanding what the strengths are of your team and the individuals in your team, and allowing them to express themselves without the fear of failure. So the last thing you'd want Russell doing is thinking, oh gosh, the team strategy is to be pushing these twos, but I feel like I can hit him straight out the ground for 6. Well, you shouldn't be thinking twice about it.
I mean, I heard him on an interview say, I don't worry about where the boundary rope is, because if I worry about it, then I'm thinking about it. He said, nah, I don't worry about the boundary rope.